Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is not your typical Tuesday and we are going to be finishing the picture that we started last week in Vidorables by Selena Finish. We started it and we did the picture itself with the Ohuhu pastel markers. And I did finish the picture in the markers. But we're going to enhance the picture with some pastel pencils. So that's what we're going to work on today. So this is the picture that we started. And as I said, we did this picture all in the Ohuhu markers. Now, it's looking a little flat. And I don't like flat pictures. And that's one thing that sometimes coloring books don't give you ability to do, and that is to make it look more dimensional. Sometimes if you can't blend or add other colors without it running all over the place, it looks a little flat. And that's because of the paper in the book and you know, whether or not you're able to or want to blend colors. So in order to unflatten it a little bit, we are going to use, let's see, which ones are we going to use? I think maybe we'll use I've got 3 different sets of pencils in here. I've got the Indras, the Pastelos, or the Pastel Love, and the Brute Funer. I think we're going to use the Brute Funer. Now I do have the Brute Funer and the Pastel Love together, mixed up. So it may be the Brute Funer, it may be the Pastel Love. We will see. Depends on which ones I grab first. All right, so I've got them all here. Let's get the thing so I can pull pencils out easily. I hope everybody has had a good start to their week. For some reason, it decided that it's going to be winter weather here in Oregon. So, yeah, we've had a little bit of snow and all that fun stuff. It's been very strange. Okay, so I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera. And I'm going to start with Naples yellow in all of the yellow areas. And we're going to add a little bit of orange to it as well. So we're going to grab apricot. I'm going to grab my sharpener and give this a nice point. And we'll see if these sharpen up all right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now we're going to bring that out. And we're just going to flick in some hair. And I'm going to try to be on camera. Wouldn't that be nice of me? But as I was saying, we're getting some odd snow and winter weather here in April. And the snow and the winter weather makes me very tired. So I have been extremely sleepy. Makes me just want to hibernate. So I'm just flicking in some hair. into those yellow areas. I was going to do it with the Naples yellow, but it's a little bit too light for those areas because I'd already put down a yellow. Put in a bit of a shadow for this hair here. And for where it overlaps here. And as you can see, it already looks very dimensional. The pencil is going over top of the marker very nicely. And the reason for this is because you haven't used up the tooth of the paper with the marker. So you're able to put down a few different layers of the colored pencil on top of that marker. Once it's dry, that tooth comes back up. And of course, alcohol markers don't take very long to dry, so you can do this right after you've used the marker. No problem at all. But give it, like, color the whole picture first and then go into it with the marker or the colored pencil. And just in case some of it's still wet, because a sharp pencil will tear into that wet page. Now I'm going into it with the Naples yellow, just extending it out into the highlight area with that medium tone. Tip this so that I don't have to have my book all the way down. It's driving me crazy. And leaving that highlight area open. Now we're going to do the same thing here. Start off with the apricot. And then go into the Naples yellow. And as you can see, they do blend even on top of the marker. And then this one here. So basically what today's all about is whether or not it looks good, or should you or can you add pencil to marker. And absolutely you can. And if you find that your picture is not looking as dimensional, or you aren't able to blend because the blend markers because the paper doesn't allow it, but you want that extra dimension or those hair flicks or things like that. If you want those things in your picture and you're not able to get that with your marker because you're just not able to, the markers don't let you, or B, the paper doesn't let you, or in my case, C, my ability doesn't let me, you can definitely use a colored pencil on top of it using that marker as a base and working that color into it. So yes, you can definitely do that with colored pencils. This one's a little bit more difficult because I'm grabbed the wrong color and it's a bit of a brown. It's still taking the yellow though. Or the orange, I mean. The tangerine. Apricot, whatever color you want to call it. It's apricot. So this is an under area of the hair. So I'm coloring this whole under area. Leaving an area here for highlight. You can also use this method for correcting a color as well. So say you have some flicks or some areas that did not blend correctly, or you have a choppiness to your marker laydown. You can correct that with the colored pencil. The way you do this is you just coat right over top of it and you use that marker as a base color so that you don't have to worry about the white spot. White spot is tooth of the paper that shows through. So if you've got just a bit of choppiness, let's see if I have any choppy areas, which I don't seem to have. I'll do it with this one here because it's in the background, so it's going to be darker than the stuff in the foreground, and it's not in this case as of yet. So I'll show you with the pink because it's really easy to see with the pink. So what you can do is you can color right over top of it using that lighter tone of undercoat as your base. So I'm going to take a darker pink. So I'm going to take, this is a Pastelo. Maybe this one. So I'm going to take Cosmos, which is a fairly light pink. And if you know your Holbeins or your Brut Puner pastel colors, it's a bit of a brighter pink than a light pink. So this is a very light pink. And we want to darken this up a little, but we want to keep that pink there. So what we do is we just color right over top of it. And color the same way you would on a blank, uncolored area, filling that in. And leaving, of course, the light source area. And then we can take a lighter pink. So this is rose pink. And we can fill that in and blend that all together. And see how that completely covered that area and made it a little bit darker. Unlike this area, it's a little bit lighter. Now if you find that you want it darker still, just go over it. The tooth of the paper is still there. You can still fill that tooth with colored pencil, as well as blend it with other colored pencils and that sort of thing. You can actually completely cover that colored area. I know, but why? A little bit of a waste of time. But sometimes it gives the more the lighter colors, because the lighter colors can that white spot can show through a lot easier, a lot quicker. And with it colored, you still have that small bit of light color base to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to color. Another thing is, if you saw there, the purple bled into the pink here. So I'm able to correct that as well. So if you have some bleed over, you can use colored pencils to correct that as well. This is another area that's going to be darker than the front areas because it's behind the horse, behind the unicorn. So we're going to do it in the darker colors. And like I said, you can correct those bleed overs as well. Alright, so this part here also going to have that dark area. In this area I'm going to do more of a flick because it's coming down a little bit more into those light areas where you're going to see that hair. Still leaving an area fairly light, blending it all in with our lighter pencil color. Like so. Now we've got an area back here that's really, really light and should be really dark, and that's a green. So let's grab our greens here. And we're going to grab this one here. And this one is jade green. And we're going to fill that in the same way that we did in the pinks. So we're going to take this jade green and we're just going to fill that in. And see how much darker it is now? I'm leaving that light area all open there and just lightening my hand as I go over it and putting a little bit more pressure on the pencil in the extreme shadowed area. Just like this area here. Also, it color matches quite nicely with this darker green that I used on these areas. Like so. So as you can see, it's very much darker now than it was, like this area here. Now say you went in and did an area too dark and you want to maybe add a little bit lighter color or a little bit lighter light source to a darker color than you wanted it to be. So finish up these green areas before I move on because I'll forget what green I've used. Because I do that. Not like there's a lot of them to choose from in the pastels, but I will still forget. So this area here, I'm doing more of a flick because the color, I want it to stay the same, but I want to have that dimension of the hair. And I'm covering up any bleed over. Like so. And there's no green on the other side there. Flick this in a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to fix, see this pink here? It's much darker than I want it to be. So I'm going to take a lighter pink. I think this one, which is coral. And I'm going to fill it in. And it even might be a little too dark. Do I have an even lighter pink? Maybe this one. So if that doesn't work, if you use a color that you're not satisfied with, you can erase it. And still have that undercoat. So you're able to experiment with your colors. Yeah, this one's a little bit better. With either darkening them or lightening them, changing the overtone of them, using that darker color as an undertone. So this has now become a bit of a lavender or red, red rose, lavender, purpley type of pink instead of that dark pink. And where's my brush? And to add the say the highlights and the lowlights and that sort of thing, we can also go into it. Let's try not to break our pencils here. With a different color. So we've got the creams there. We can go into it with a cold gray. So we've got the pink colors. We can go into it with a bit of a cold gray. We can go into it with a bit of a beige brown color, which will stand out against it as well. So let's go in with our gray. I'll sharpen it a bit. And of course it's hard to sharpen things because my pencil holder case is bigger than my desk because, yeah, I'm using a long one and it's getting held up there. There, that's better. Okay, so we're going to be using the gray on the horse itself, on the unicorn itself. But say we want some highlight here. We can add some highlight here. I'm using a, what color is this? Beige. So this is beige. And it just adds that little bit of color. Now you can take, say, a Prisma white and add the highlights that way as well. So this one here I messed up a little bit. So let's fix that. Let's take our Cosmos. I didn't like the way this flicked out, so Let's fix it. So I oversaturated the page here, but now that I've let it dry, I'm able to go over that with the Cosmos as well as this lighter pink here, which is rose pink, and just completely smooth it out. So instead of that choppy, oversaturated look, I'm able to get the smooth look just like all the other areas. Now if you have a spot here where you've got the purple overcoming, just go a little bit more there and overtake that purple. If you go into your other area, it's pencil. You can just erase it. And it doesn't erase any of the other color because that's marker. So I was able to color correct this area here. I was able to color correct an area here and here just by using a colored pencil. So let's add a little bit of the cream here. And give that area a little bit more of a look as well. So on the pony itself, on the horse itself, we have a couple of different areas where I want to add a little bit more of a purpley tone, a red purple tone. So we're going to take this one here, which is rose gray, first of all, and we're going to fill in the edges, the shadow areas on his hooves. And extend that into that purple. And the way that I'm extending it, the way that I'm not just going harsh end, is I'm going a little heavy-handed towards the inside and just lifting my hand up as I come out to the edge. And do the same thing here. Because I don't have a lighter color pencil to blend into on the hooves, I just have a light marker. And there's no point putting another color pencil there, another color there, because that light color is already in existence there. So the only way, the best way, not the only way, the best way that I have found to utilize that marker underneath is to just gently lift my hand as I come to the edge of where I want that darker color to be. So we've got a curve here. So we want this area back here to be darker and curved into the front. We've got an overlap here, so we want this to be a little bit darker for the overlap. Then we've got a curve here. Once again, darker in the back, and we just bring that in. Now this is a back hoof, so it's going to get less light than the front hoof. so we can extend that shadow color further down the hoof. This one here is a front hoof. It still has the same dimensions. We've still got the shadow area for the curve. So we've got dark at the very edge and extending it in. And we've got dark under the hair here and at the edge of the back. So really dark and just extend it in. And then we leave the rest of it that nice light purple. So it gives that dimension. So now I want, let's see, what color do I want? I want a very dark color, and I don't think the pastel lows or anything have that really deep. Well, maybe this one. So this one is not a pastel low or anything else. Maybe. Oh, that's close. This is a Marco. Want a nice deep blush color, a deep red for the areas around her nose and mouth, as well as the bottoms of her hooves. And I don't have my color chart out, so yeah, this is pretty close to that color. Just so that I can give that shadow in there on top of that red tone. Because if you remember, we mixed to make some reds. Same with up here. This area here had some blending issues, so I'm just going to go over the whole thing, cleaning that all up. Like so. Let's see, is there, oh, up here as well. So we're just going to come into the horn, and it's got a curve, so I'm going to go deep at the edges and blend it in, like so. So that gives us our red tones. And you can do that. You can mix and match colors. You can mix and match pencils. You don't have to use all the same pencils, all the same colors, that sort of thing. You can definitely mix and match as you go. You know, you don't even have to color everything. You know, if you don't feel that the need to add that extra color to a space that you're coloring, don't. You know, if you've just got a couple of areas that you want to correct, and that's all you want to add that color to, just add the color there. Or just leave it marker if you want to leave it marker. This is not something that you have to do. This is just something I like to do when I'm coloring with markers. And I find that it gives me that ability, especially on coloring book paper, to concentrate on the details instead of concentrate on the coverage. If that makes any sense at all. Okay, just doing the same thing with the purples. This is once again the rose gray. which is a nice purpley tone. It's got a little bit of a red tone, undertone to it, which stands out really nicely against the purple in the marker. Like so. Sorry about that, guys. I had a horrible itch in my ear. I hate those. They're irritating. Now we're going to go under it because I missed that spot. So as you can see, the difference between going directly on the white as opposed to going onto the gray, there is a color difference as well. The colored areas compared to the white gives you that undertone. So instead of seeing that white spot showing through, you're seeing a color show through, which does give you the ability to only color a small amount of area and still have that texture of the paper, which is great. Like so. All right, so let's put in, oh, there's another purple here. And here. Not going to concentrate on each different area, but I will do ones that I've already started because I will forget what colors I've done them in. We're going to move on to the animal itself in adding the colors in that to the unicorn, because we've based it with gray. Well, a gray unicorn is wonderful, but it's a little boring. So we have done his horn in rainbows. Which is much less boring. And we've done his hair on his mane and his tails in rainbows, which of course is way less boring than just a gray. Of course, grays are beautiful, don't get me wrong. There is many places to use a wonderful gray, but this is a unicorn. Come on. Just getting some of those flicks in there. Making sure that I get all the areas. Now this area here is in the background. It's on the back of the head. So not only do we have the darkness of the back area of the under hair, but we've got the shadow of the unicorn as well. So we're just going to put in some really heavy dark areas, and we're just going to lighten our hand as we come out, and we're going to color that whole area. Like so. Giving it that depth. And we did the same sort of thing here, because it's an under. And yeah. Alright, so we've got some blue hair and whatnot to deal with on the horse, but we can deal with that later. Now we're going to deal with his body. And we have some really, really lovely pastel-y cream colors. Like this one here is cherry blossom. And then we have this one here, which should be peach. And then, of course, we've got a nice lilac color here. So we've got some really lovely light colors that will work really well to add color to the unicorn with the gray undertone. So I'm going to sharpen these up. I'm going to do the lilac first. Oh, let's just shoot those across the room. You know, we could stick to the gray tones very, very simply. There are some beautiful gray tones that we could stick to. But let's give a little tiny bit, and we will be going into the gray tones, but let's give that little tiny bit of color, contrast. Let's play with color and channel our inner Emily. We're also going to use smoke blue and cold gray. So we're going to channel our inner Emily. All right, so the first areas we're going to start adding color is around these areas here. And it's not a lot of color. It's very, very subtle. I'm actually going to use a deeper pink inside of here as well, just to darken those up a little and give them a deeper color. Come out a little, just a touch. And blend it into that cherry blossom. Like so. Now we're going to do the same thing with this one here. And we're just going to come out around the edges here. And then we'll blend that in with some cherry blossom. Blending those areas together, like so. And it just gives a little bit of a glow. You know, we are going to do the same thing up here where his horn comes down. We're going to add just a bit of that color. So I've got the cherry blossom and I've got the peach. Just going to come off the hair a little bit with it, like so. And then we've got the purple, which is lilac. And we're going to come in to all the shadow areas with that lilac. So I put some of the shadow areas in with the darker gray on with the marker. But I didn't like the way that it spread or didn't spread in some cases. So going over it with this lilac does give me the ability to smooth that out and add a little bit of that purple color to the unicorn, still maintaining that lighter gray. Now I'm not going to feather this out. I'm going to leave this harsh because we're going to come in with another color and feather it out into that lighter gray. Which will hopefully give it some contrast, some color, and interest. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm just going to finish up these areas here and the deep area here because this is an area that's going to get a lot more of that color, that darker color. I am getting a bit of a hailstorm going on, so if you hear a lot of pounding noises, sorry, because the hail's hitting the window right next to me. Okay, so I've got some of that purple coming in underneath the belly here, like so. Now I'm going to take that smalt or smoke blue, and I'm just going to extend, leaving that highlight area open, but extending from that purple. And I'm not pressing hard. I'm using quite a light hand. And just gradually feathering it in. This is where you start lightening your hand and feathering that color in. I am blending it into that purple tone, that lilac, and then just bringing it out. Giving it that dimension. Now, of course, I will finish this on Discord. So if you want to see this finished, you can join us over on Discord. There should be a link under the video that will take you to the Discord channel. We do color a lot in our voice rooms, so in our chat rooms. So if you want to hang out with us and just, sit and chat and color, you are definitely welcome to do so just by hitting that Discord link and joining our Discord server. It's a fun way to just hang out and, talk to each other. Ask for advice, give advice, just hang out with like-minded people and try our best to make new friends and enjoy our coloring hobby together. Okay, so I'm going to finish this part here. I'm going to switch it over to the full camera so you can see a little bit more of what we've done. And how it looks. Take the brush and brush it off here. Alright, so as you can see, there's now a bit of color coming off of his horn area down his nose. I am going to move that down into his eye area and this part of his face. And we've got some purples into our grays here and in the shadow areas, giving that gray a little bit more depth. We've got some different tones added to our hair in the mane and in the tail, which gives us a little bit more of a depth as well. We've also corrected a couple of colors so that we've darkened a couple of different colors so that they're not contrary to where they are positioned. So yeah, that, my friends, is what you can do, or the things, some of the things is the better way of putting it, that you can do with an overlay of colored pencil on top of marker base. Once again, I will pre-warn you that you must let that marker dry. Even if it's slightly damp, you can go through your paper with your colored pencil. I let it dry for a day just to make sure, but you don't have to. You can let that dry for 10-20 minutes and it'll be fine. But I have a habit of oversaturating my pages, so I just let it dry for a day or two. This is a great way to be able to add shading and add additional colors, uh, especially in coloring books on coloring book paper, because the coloring book paper sometimes does not give you the ability to add multiple colors to an area or blend multiple colors to an area. One or two, no problem. However, if you get into like 3, 4, you're going to start having some issues. It also gives you the ability to correct any areas where you've done a little bit of oversaturation or it bled out too much or anything like that. It gives you that ability as well where you can correct those things. All right, guys, tomorrow, of course, is our live stream, and I hope to see you all there. That will once again be at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I have moved that from 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time to enable people to watch Monya Gates. So if you are not already subscribed to Monya Gates, make sure that you get over to her channel and subscribe. She is coloring the same picture that I colored when she was here visiting us last month. And it's gorgeous. Yeah, other than that, of course, tomorrow we will be continuing with our wonderful little picture of Dev. So, Emmy, one of my subscribers that is at my lives most days, has named all of our little creatures, and his name is Dev, and his name is Ent. This is Sally, and this is Betty Boop. So we will be coloring their plant life tomorrow. All right, guys, until then, thank you all very much for watching. I hope this has been informative, if not entertaining. And of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to anybody's YouTube that you watch that you enjoy. There are a lot of April birthdays going on this month. So we have a special birthday celebration for Emily Illustrator on Saturday. So this coming Saturday, which I do believe is the 16th. Let me check. I do believe it's the 16th. Yes. So on the 16th, I will be 2 hours later than my normal time. This is a one-time only thing. It's not going to happen every day or every Saturday like it is with Wednesday when I bumped it an hour. So this is just for Emily's birthday bash and 15,000, subscriber celebration. So make sure you head on over there before you come over here and hang out with her. I will be there. And she has some fantastic prizes. She's even going to play some games, all sorts of really cool stuff. So make sure you head over there on Saturday. Other than that, guys, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, thank you all so much for watching. You have a fantastic day and a wonderful week. Until then, bye-bye for now.